Hello again, everyone. So for this video, I'm going to talk about doing research and about doing citations. I know we hate this stuff. I know it's extremely boring, but this is going to be important, especially when you get to higher level classes. And I would say that, some higher level professors are just going to expect you to know this stuff, like they're going to sign a research paper and not go through telling you how to do the research or how to do the appropriate citations and stuff. So I think it's important that we start trying to do this now. I'm not going to be, overly picky about losing points and things for citations or whatever, but I do want to see you trying to do them. So like if you do it wrong, I probably won't take any points off. But if you don't do it at all, I probably would take some points off. So I just want to see that you're like making an attempt to learn how to do this because it's something that you want to just get in the habit of doing. Just like a lot of the formatting stuff, where like it's kind of dumb with the Times New Roman and double spacing. It's kind of dumb, right? It's not like obviously that's not shouldn't be the important thing. The important thing should be the content. But these are things that people are going to expect, and that yeah, other professors might take points off for. And I think at the very least, it signals that to the professor that like, hey, like I'm trying very hard, right? I'm doing my best in things, and that's we'd like the professor, right, to approach our essays with that impression from us. So yes, research citations. Let's do it. So first of all, I've posted a link that says research databases that takes you to some of the research tools that are provided by the school. Um, so I am requiring that one of your outside sources be from one of these databases or from a book. So you click that link, and yeah, it'll take you to the list of databases, but you'll notice that there's a lot of databases, right? There's many, many of them. And the reason for this is that some of them are better for certain disciplines or fields, right? If you're in a science class, a certain database might be better than for a business class. So I'm going to give you two databases. I would write this down if I were you. I would grab a pen right now or open up a Word document or make a note in your phone. And I would write down the names of these two databases, which are going to be, I think, all that you need for our class and probably for a lot of your classes in your first few years of college. Okay, the first one is JSTOR. 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 That's probably where I would start. That's my favorite one, the one I used the most when I was a student. So you have that one, and then the other one here is ProQuest. PRO Quest. So between JSTOR and ProQuest, you should be able to find all the stuff that you need for this class, and probably a lot of other classes too. Okay, so once you click on JSTOR, for instance, it'll take you to like a search bar, right? And at this point, it's just like using Google or something. You want to put in the terms that are going to give you the search results that you're looking for. So, if what you're typing in isn't giving you good search results, you might need to refine it a little bit, right? Use your search engine skills in terms of what you want to type in. So for a literary analysis essay, there's two main ways to do research. You can look for people writing about the story that you're writing about, which maybe you'll find. I don't know. It's a more recent story, which I think is good. But I don't know if there's going to be a lot of essays of people writing about the story, or you might be able to find something about the author. And then if you could see maybe if there's an essay about a different story by our author Cefiata, maybe you could see if there's any similarities between what they say about a different story and what's happening in the story we are reading. That's possible, but you can find someone writing about the thing you're writing about, or you find research about your topic, and I'll have a list of suggested topics on the assignment sheet. You try to find research about your topic and then kind of apply it to the text. So if you end up writing about, gender or protesting or what are the other ones I have? Globalization or immigration. I think that's all of them. If you're writing on one of those things, you can do research on that thing, that topic, and then see if that helps you understand the story or analyze the story. So if you were doing, about protesting or something, you could look up, theories of protesting and what have people said about it, and famous protest leaders, and how does it connect to the story. Or if you're writing about gender, you could find some kind of research about, sexism in society and how women are treated or whatever, and how it, and then how that connects to the story. So that's how I would approach the research. So one of your sources needs to be from these databases, and then the other ones can be from, from like credible type websites, like history.com or something if you're doing something, if you need some kind of historical information, or whatever. Newspapers are always good, magazines, things people have heard of tend to be better. Okay, sorry, back to the doing the search with the databases. A couple of other things I would give you to try to make it go a little bit quicker, because I think if you've tried to do this before with these databases, you know it can take a long time. So I wouldn't. So obviously, you don't need to start the researching yet because we haven't read the story, But once we do read the story, I would start thinking about doing research sooner rather than later. Because if you save it for the last minute, like there's no way to speed up the research. Like it takes a certain amount of time, and if you wait to the last minute, you're going to be it's going to be very annoying. So I would try to get started with it sooner. But some things you can do to try to make it quicker. Some tips I can give you. Um, when you're searching for this stuff, you can choose a certain time period, like for when it was published. For our purposes, you probably want things published like after 1980, things that were written in the 50s, really in any field, but people writing about literature in the 50s, it was just very different. It's not really the way that we do it anymore. Some article from like 1937 is probably not going to help you very much. So I would try to stick to with like around 1980 and things published after that. So you can type that in on JSTOR. You can have your search results start with 1980, so you can kind of limit what comes up. So obviously you're going to be looking at titles of articles as you're scrolling through, right? So you want to try to judge by the title if you think it's going to be helpful. But some other things you can look at are the journal that it's published in. So like, if you're looking for an article about the environment, and you see that it's published in, I don't know, whatever, an accounting journal, that might not be helpful. So even though the title might seem helpful, if it's published in a journal that's not in the same field, that might not actually be helpful. Another thing that you want to look for is if the essay has an abstract. Sometimes these scholarly essays, they'll have like a little summary at the beginning that they call an abstract. Always read those if it's available, because then you can determine better if it's going to be a helpful thing for you to read or not. Because obviously the worst thing that can happen is you read through a whole essay and then you don't find anything that helps you. But I will say that you only need one sentence to use something as a source, right? It doesn't have to be like, the perfect essay, handed down, the golden cherished essay. It doesn't have to be everything you want it to be, but as long as you can find one sentence that you can pull out and put into your paper that helps your argument and helps you explain a point or something like that, then you can use that as a source, and that works. Okay, last thing about doing the research. I think that the way we maybe have thought about research before is that we kind of just look for someone else who agrees with us exactly, for someone else just saying the same exact thing we're trying to say. And that's not, at the highest levels, that's not really the way to approach research. At the highest levels, for professors and academics who are trying to get books published and things, if there's someone else who has said the same thing as you, that's not good. That kind of means that they beat you to it, in that like you're not really adding anything if you're saying exactly what someone else said. So the way you can think about this is as a kind of critical conversation. When these academics, when they write these essays, when they publish these books, really what they're doing is having mini arguments with each other. It's a bunch of nerds having arguments, right? So in order to do that, right, so that's why a critical conversation, in order to enter into an argument like this, you need to be aware of what other people are saying about the topic. So that's kind of why we do research, to see what the kind of landscape of the argument is, and then you find your way to fit into that. and you find people you agree with and people you disagree with, or people you mostly agree with, but maybe you have a little bit of a different position. Because if you have the same exact argument as someone else, then you're not saying anything unique, you know? It's like, think about if you're with like five of your friends, and you know, people are having an argument saying, well, I think this, well, I think this. And then, you know, you just go, well, you know, I agree with that person. It's like, okay, well, you know, we don't really need you then. You know, we don't really need your voice in this if you're just going to agree with what has already been said. Um, so, you know, I'm not going to hold you guys to that high of a standard, you know, that we need something totally original. But I just think it's important that we approach doing research as not just looking for someone who agrees with us, as finding someone who disagrees with us and explaining why they're wrong and we're right. And in fact, it's important to read this essay because so many other people are wrong about this stuff, you know? Um, or like finding someone who you agree with, but you're going to go further than them. You're going to use what they're saying to help your argument, you know, kind of using the source as like a springboard to help what you're saying. So that's kind of the way that I would try to approach it. Okay, moving on. Citations, real quick. So there's two different kinds of citations that we need. Whenever you quote from a source, including the story, although the story, I should say, does not count as an outside source. Whatever required amount of sources I give you, the story does not count. That's why I say outside sources. But yes, when you quote from anything, including the story, you need what they call an in-text citation. So I think I have a picture of this. I'm going to try to throw the picture up. Okay, so as you can see, the form here is you finish your quote, and then you have a parentheses. You give us the author's last name. You give us the page number. You close the parentheses, period. Notice that you don't need a comma in between the name and the number. You don't need the word page or PG or anything like that. Just the author's last name and the page number. If you are using a website where you don't have a page number, what you replace that with is the title of the article in quotation marks. So you'd still have author's title if you have an author, or author's last name, sorry. You still have author's last name if there's an author, and then the title of the article in quotation marks. And then if there's sometimes online articles don't have an author, and that can be okay as long as it's from a good website. So in that case, you would just go parentheses, article title in quotation marks and parentheses, period. So they call that a parenthetical or an in-text citation. It goes directly after the quote. And then the other type of citation that we need is, of course, the works cited. So I have, oh yes, I should say, I have a link for all the citation stuff, right? It says it on there, Purdue OWL info on citations. So you click that link, and it takes you to the Purdue OWL, which is like the authoritative website on this topic, where we go to for all correct citation info. That's where I go to make sure I still know what I'm talking about with this stuff. But to do a works cited, so first of all, if you go to that Purdue OWL link, they do have a like generator, a citation generator, where you can put in the URL of the website or type in the name of the journal article or the name of the book or the story, and it'll kind of make the citation for you. You do, you do want to double check all the information that it gives you and make sure it's right, but that'll kind of generate it for you. But you do want to make sure when you copy and paste this that you keep all the italics and stuff all the same, because I've done that before where it like matches, the style, and you lose some kind of italics or something. So you want to make sure that it's the same. In terms of the works cited page, so you'll make a new page after the end of your essay. At the top, it says works cited, not references or bibliography, but works cited. And then I think I have a picture here. Where you can see how it kind of, it gives the author's last name, the first name, the title, the publisher, the date, all that stuff, kind of in a line. Another thing you'll notice is that every line after the first one is indented, so you can kind of see where the first line is, and then the other ones have a space, so you can tell they're part of the same thing. So yeah, I would probably just try to use one of the generators for that, but just make sure you have all of your sources listed at the end there. All right, I know this stuff is annoying and very boring. But hopefully we can get used to it here, and it'll be easier as we move on. Oh, we are doing MLA format. I think I've said before, but yes, it is MLA. So make sure that's what you're looking at. All right, see ya.